update you. It's Clive Maund of clivemaund.com. And first of all, I'd like to thank all new subscribers to clivemaund.com and also to my YouTube channel. And a warm welcome to you all. In this update, what we're going to be looking at is the big picture for the main metals. And we will not be looking at short or medium term charts because we want to keep in mind this big picture, because that will be the background for all the investing in the sector going forward. We'll start with a long-term, very long-term chart for gold going back to 1980. Now, the main point I want to make on this chart is that the current major bull market, which started pretty much 2 years ago, early in 2024, is still in its earlier stages. Now, as we look at this chart, you can see that in relation to the great 2000s bull market, which ended in 2011, this current bull market, to me, appears to be still in its earlier stages. And in addition to which, it needs to be pointed out that if we factor in that we're heading towards hyperinflation, this current bull market is going to be probably many times greater than the one we saw in the 1980s. And another point to make is that the great 2000s bull market, which resulted in huge percentage gains for gold, this bull market is starting from a much higher point. And as we can probably expect similar or greater percentage gains for this bull market, you can readily tell that gold's going much, much higher from here. So that's a very big background factor. You know, we're heading towards hyperinflation, and this is the reason, because the current financial system is actually completely breaking down, and they're creating enormous amounts of money. You're seeing, especially in the case of the empire, United States, you're seeing the empire make big moves to grab resources while it's still got the power to do so. And this is the reason for the invasion of the effective invasion of Venezuela, where they decide they want the oil and they want the critical minerals in Venezuela. That's the move there. And it's really about the same underlying reason for the impending takeover of Greenland. They want the resources of Greenland. These are real assets. You know, the fiat is got no real intrinsic value. They want real assets, and they're going for them. So that's what's going on. It's the underlying explanation for the land grabs of Venezuela and Greenland, and possibly other places like Colombia too in the future. Now, having looked at the long-term chart for gold, perhaps, of course, the most interesting chart for us is the long-term chart for silver, because as we know, silver is the best investment of all at this time. We looked at this chart many times, but in this updated look at this chart, which some of you may recall, I actually posted on the site in the middle of last year before this major breakout for silver from its 45-year cup and handle holding pattern. The main point to make on this chart is that the price is now starting to advance well clear of this huge cup and handle. And so it's on its way, but it's still this bull market is still very much in its early stages, as repeatedly pointed out by Mike Maloney and Alan Hibbard in their excellent videos. This is still very much in its early stages. It's got much higher to go, and we need to keep that as a background factor. So the main point here is that you do not, it will get overbought, but it's not necessarily a reason to take profits. Rather, this is a case of, in investing terms, if you wait for minor shakeouts or pullbacks or consolidations and add to positions rather than taking profits. Because this is the people who are going to make the most money out of this situation are longer-term investors who buy and just sit on it, especially physical silver. So the main point here is that we're in a major bull market. It's not coming down. It's not going. This is going to continue, and it's going to go much, much higher. Now we'll move on to consider some of the lesser metals. The metals of main interest to us are gold and silver, but we're also going to look at lesser metals briefly like platinum, palladium, and then what I regard as a more important metal, which is copper, which is at a very, very good entry point. Now, if we proceed to look at the platinum chart going back 25 years, it was interesting because on the site we figured out early last year that platinum was dragging its feet and was set to make break out and make major gains, and it did. It took off like a rocket, and it was late joining the party. Gold and silver have been going up for quite a while, especially gold, and platinum has now joined the party. And the surprising thing is, and even surprising to me, is that it actually bust through those resistance levels shown as if they weren't there. And while it may fiddle about here because it's up near the 2008 or 2009 highs for a while, it's going much higher to new highs. So so that's platinum. Now palladium doesn't look so impressive at first sight, but has actually, I think, doubled in price in the last 9 months, which is not bad. It's running into some resistance here, approaching those highs, but it shouldn't have too much trouble working its way through that resistance. And once it breaks above the top of that band of resistance and breaks out to new highs, it will be well on its way, and it will just carry on up and up as well. So we are going to now continue on to copper, which is the last metal in this core metal selection that we're looking at. And the interesting thing about copper, which is why I put it at the end of this update, is that it still hasn't really got with the plot. It hasn't really broken out. Superficially, you look at this long-term chart going back to 1980 and you think, oh, well, maybe it's forming since 2006, it's been forming an upsloping top. Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe this is because if we're heading into hyperinflation, none of these metals are coming down, right? So we've got this pattern here where superficially it looks like a top, but if we look at it now on a somewhat shorter term chart, which matches the palladium and platinum charts in its 25 years in duration, we see that a parabolic uptrend is driving copper towards a breakout above an upsloping band of resistance. That grey band you see on this chart is actually, I put that there to indicate a kind of upsloping resistance level that takes account of inflation. So once it breaks out above the top of that grey band and above that blue line at the top of this chart, I think copper is really going to take off like a rocket. And it's been constrained by this that blue trend line and this upsloping resistance level for quite some time. So I think copper is a big one to go for at this time because it's still got its largest gains ahead of it. And we're going to see some spectacular gains in copper and, of course, in associated copper stocks, which we will be looking at on CliveMoore.com. So that's it for now. We're only looking at the big picture in this update, as I say, and we'll be looking at some more medium-term aspects in upcoming videos. So if you're interested, come over and join us at CliveMoore.com. You'll be very welcome, where we'll be looking at specific stock ideas. And the whole objective, my objective on CliveMoore.com is to stop you from becoming a victim of the impending hyperinflation. The majority of the population are going to go down. They're going to be taken down. They're going to lose everything. My objective is to make sure that does not include you. And the way we are going to do that is go with the things that are real assets that are going to appreciate both in real terms and because people will also be looking for safe havens on a grand scale as we go forward. They're going to more than probably outstrip inflation. So in other words, you'll be making real money out of these things if you invest in them now, because their appreciation will exceed the rate of inflation, even if that becomes hyperinflation. Anyway, hope you are interested in joining me over on CliveMoore.com. You'd be very welcome. Trial subscription only $75. 3 months is $150, and look forward to speaking with you soon. So have a great upcoming week, and look forward to speaking to you soon. That's all for now. Goodbye.